Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. This is my weekly segment on the Houston Texans called Bullheaded. Right now, I'm in my car because I'm traveling from Houston to Austin, ironically. But I wanted to go ahead and get this episode chopped off to you. First things first, heading into this game, the Houston Texans are tied with the Indianapolis Colts for first place in the division at 5-5. However, it seems that the Colts, even though they're led by a backup quarterback, Matt Hasselbeck, who's also a 40-year-old quarterback at that, they seem to have a relatively easier schedule than what the Texans have. So, with that being said, I still think that the Texans need to play this out. I think for the Colts, they have... look at the schedule. I think it was the Buccaneers, Steelers, and there was another team, might have been Jacksonville, that they have coming up. For the Texans, starting this Sunday, we have the Saints coming up. The Patriots are coming up as well. And also the Buffalo Bills are coming up. All three, even though the Patriots are the stronger of all three of those teams, the Bills are a resurgent team at this moment. They're getting all their players back that are healthy. And the Saints still have a high-powered offense, despite, having one of the worst defenses in the league. I think the Texans really need to just try to play this season out instead of just opting for the tank role. And I might have touched on that last week, but I really want to emphasize that they just need to play the season out and actually shoot for the playoffs. As it stands, Andrew Luck was at the time of Andrew Luck's injury, he was expected to be out 2 to 6 weeks, and might have been projected to come back, around the time that we were supposed to play him. I think that was week 15 that we're supposed to play them in Indianapolis. So that may be the game that decides the division, here and there. So, if we get to a point where it's tied up, in the division still, and we play those guys and we just lose, then, it is what it is. We lose, and we can just wait the draft out and everything else. But until then, I think we really need to play for this division more than anything else, and just to have some type of confidence for this team going into next season. Now, with that being said, our playoff mindset should probably have already kind of sunk into us. We've beaten some pretty decent teams the last couple of weeks. We beat the Bengals on Monday night at 10-6. We beat the Jets last week. Now we're going to come up against the New Orleans Saints. Now, arguably, Drew Brees is probably going to be the best quarterback that we've played all season. We had our taste of Matt Ryan, earlier in the season, but Drew Brees, he's still, despite the Saints being last place in the NFC South, he's still one of the top QBs that is in the game right now. I think he's number 2 as far as passing yards in the league, obviously behind Tom Brady. But, that's definitely going to pose a threat to what we got to do. Now, the defense, they've been remarkable last 2 games, and they've, played some relatively decent quarterbacks. In fact, we've been on a 3-game win streak, if I said 2-game earlier. But needless to say, the defense has been, pretty good and outstanding, and has really grabbed us these victories. So I expect the defense to maybe step it up just a little bit more, or just continue to play at the level that they're playing at now. And that would have to really involve, going after Drew Brees more than anything. And that's really going to be the key to how we win this game. As many times as we can get to Drew Brees, whether it's through sacks or whether it's through quarterback hits, that is exactly how we're going to win this game. Everything else is pretty much secondary. There's no way that our offense wants to get into a touchdown for touchdown match with one of the greatest quarterbacks, in the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years or whatever. We'll go with 5 years. So, there's no way they want to get into a scoring battle with especially with a guy who just scored 7 touchdowns not too long ago. So, definitely our defense is going to have to work on getting to the quarterback more than anything. If we cannot get to Drew Brees, then it's definitely going to be a problem. You cannot allow him to throw any type of screen passes, and he definitely cannot allow him to throw any type of deep down the field passes. His receivers haven't performed as great as the receiving core that he's had in the past, but they performed decent enough, to let you know that, hey, this is still Drew Brees. So definitely, if we can get to the quarterback, that'll be the main thing that'll help stop. That'll be the main thing that'll help get us this win. As far as our offense, we can pretty much do whatever we want at the moment. They're coming off their bye week in which they fired their defensive coordinator, Rob Ryan, and so so far as it stands right now, the New Orleans Saints defense is at the bottom of every defensive category that there is. They're last in overall defense. They're definitely last in run defense. So that should definitely, if they still hold true to what they were doing before they fired Rob Ryan, then we should definitely use our running backs. All three of them more than anything. And maybe we could slide in a little bit of the Wildcat here and there, but I definitely would not expect to run the Wildcat, especially on a team that's had, more than a week to prepare for us. So let's definitely put the running backs in there a little bit more, as well as let's see if we can get as many down the field passes as we possibly can. But other than that, those are the only keys that we have to win the game, and just to summarize it up, let's get to the quarterback and let's, challenge their run game. But other than that, we're going to see tomorrow, and hopefully they can make this a 4-game winning streak. I'm Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. Holla.